Bronc Bros podcast with Adam Ramirez and Sean Flanagan.
The Broncos have a win on the board, Sean. How about that? Thank you, everyone, for joining the Bronc Bros podcast. It's not a podcast, Sean. It is a podcast. My mind's a little mush right now because work is crazy, man. And the Broncos kind of drove me insane a little bit, even though they won the game.
Yep.
So, Sean, it's a Victory Monday, but how are we feeling? Is it a good feeling? Is it a meh feeling? Is it an ick feeling? What do you got going on over there?
Any win in the NFL is a good feeling, man. And sometimes they're just going to have to be that way. You would hope that it wouldn't be that way against a team like the Titans, and especially after we had made our predictions and what our expectations were. And I had even talked to some other Broncos fans and friends, and I was saying the same thing, man. I had 3 scores. So, I had the Broncos winning by 17, and, it didn't shake out that way. But at the end of the day, we are ahead of the Chiefs, and I'll take it.
Indeed, we are all ahead of the Chiefs now. I will say my prediction from the previous show, I think it was 24-10. So I think I was pretty close. I think I said it would be a close game until the end, and the Broncos might pull away with like a late pick 6 or something like that, which obviously didn't happen. But the Broncos did give Cam Ward some fits. And so before we get into it, once again, thanks everybody for joining us on the Bronc Bros podcast as part of the 5280 media team. I am Mile High Mez. This is Sean. And we are going to talk Broncos defense right now, Sean. So,
good.
Man, we're going to start with the positives today, which was the Broncos defense. And then we'll get into some questionable things with Sean Payton later on. I always have a bone to pick with Sean Payton. It never fails. And he makes it so easy for me. But on the other side of the ball, Sean, this defense – what do you have to say, man, about that performance against the Titans for the first game?
As advertised.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where there may be variables. There's new players here or there on the offense or whatever the play calling that I know you'll get into and things like that. you knew what the defense was going to do. And they led the league in sacks last year. They came out and they picked up where they left off. And what's nice to see too, man, is sometimes when dudes get paid, it's not, the motivation might not be there. And that absolutely was not the case, as it wasn't last year when Pat got paid. So it's just nice to see that we got dudes that seemingly genuinely care and put in 100% effort every single time. So, man, I know some people from a football perspective, they just want to see touchdowns and they just want to see offense, man. But I could watch this defense play all day long, and I'd be happy. They're fun to watch, man, and I like it.
Yeah, I saw somebody say that the Broncos pass rush is legit, and I was like, we already knew that. They led the NFL in sacks last year, and they set a franchise record in sacks. But yesterday, Sean, again, 6 sacks on a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward, who, for all things considered, looked pretty good yesterday against the Broncos defense. If he had some better receivers, I think he could have made it really interesting at the end there with that last drive. There was a lot of key drops there on behalf of the Titans wide receivers. But the Broncos, you're talking about Nick Bonito, who we believe is the tone setter for the Broncos defense, right? And boy, did he set the tone, especially with that the first play of the season, right? He's out there stopping guys behind the line of scrimmage, but that 3rd down sack, 3rd and goal, the place just absolutely blew up after that, and that was awesome to see. And like you were saying, I was a little concerned too, because you never know how guys are going to react after they get paid, right? So we've seen guys, not necessarily on the Broncos, but just guys in any sport really, they get paid, and then it's like, all right, I'm just going to coast for the rest, for the rest of my contract, and I got my money, so I don't worry about it. I don't think Nick Bonito is that guy. I genuinely don't. And I'm not saying that just because he's a Bronco. I'm saying that because he's proving it right now in the field, right? And so I made the comment today that Surtain is like the stabilizer and the quiet leader of the defense. but Nick Bonito is like the heart and soul of the defense. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I mean, and Pat even said it in his interview, right? Like, I mean, he even hyped up Nick and talked about how he likes to watch him play, and yeah, man, he's just like the engine never stops. You got a mobile quarterback, and he still is as effective as always. And yeah, man, I mean, he's one of my favorite to watch. I would absolutely agree that he's one of the tone setters. Obviously Zach in the trenches, and to have people at all three levels that are so effective at what they do is, it's something special to watch. And the nice thing too is when you get that hype, right? Like it was Eagles or Broncos for who's going to have the best defense. Well, one of them proved it this weekend and the other did not, so we lived up to the hype. I think we exceeded the hype from a defensive perspective, and we'll see obviously what the positions that the offense puts them in moving forward. But when you get pressure on a quarterback, anything can happen in any game. So
100%. And that goes for any quarterback, no matter how great they are. And it starts with a pass rush. And that's why the Broncos have, in my opinion, built this defense the right way. George Paton has earned his payday with the Broncos. Even after the Russell Wilson trade, he has made amends with Broncos fans, at least in my opinion. I think the Broncos should give him an extension immediately because him and Sean Payton work really, really well together. They've drafted well. And now they're creating a culture where everybody wants to stay, right? And people want to come play with Pat Surtain and Bo Nix and all these guys. So this is a good thing. Yeah, Nick Bonito. These are the positive sides of Sean Payton before I dig into him later. But how about Talanoa Hufanga in his first game, Sean, also being a tone setter, causing a fumble. I think he had 10 tackles total, 9 in the first half, or 11 total and 10 in the first half. But he was out there making noise. And it's nice to hear him after the game talk about how much he loves being a Bronco and how much the fans energized him. So what did you think of his game?
I'll say the same thing as I did when we started, as advertised. When that dude is healthy, he's one of the nastiest safeties in the NFL. And he's nonstop motor, corner to corner, end zone to end zone. That's just how he plays, man. And if that dude stays healthy, we have a lethal safety combo when you can have somebody like PJ Locke coming in to back them up and give them a blow. So I love the signing when we did it. He, again, lived up to it yesterday. I think he's awesome, man. And his attitude and overall, just like the way he's spoken about Broncos country and the team in general, since the minute he walked in the door, that dude can play the rest of his career here, and I'd be happy. So I'm super excited about him for sure.
Yeah, and another 49er that was brought in, Sean, for the defense was Dre Greenlaw, and unfortunately he didn't play yesterday. How lucky are the Broncos to have Justin Sternad as the backup linebacker to him? He played out of his mind yesterday too with, I think, was 5 tackles, 3 of them solo, and he had a sack as well. And I was thinking to myself the whole time, and I was texting a couple buddies, not you because you were busy for a little bit. But I was texting, I was like, how lucky are we to just have that good of a linebacker as a backup to Dre Greenlaw, right? Obviously, he's not going to cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield as well as Greenlaw, because that's what Greenlaw is known for, and he's probably not as fast as Greenlaw. But, I mean, he's that's as good as you can get for a backup linebacker, right?
Yeah, I mean, the sad part of the whole thing is he's going to be hard to keep. He just plays too well, man, and you just can't keep everybody, right? Like, it's just not something that's going to happen. So, yeah, he was fantastic last year filling in, one game in, fantastic again. I love the dude. I think he's great.
Yeah, and then to your other point too, PJ Locke as a backup safety, I mean, that's as good as it gets for a backup third string, whatever you want to call him. And then the forgotten guy in the defensive backfield completely is always Jaquan McMillan, and he's the one that comes up and makes the play on Cam Ward that seals the game yesterday. So I think the Broncos are just absolutely loaded with talent at every position on defense. They allowed -2 yards of offense in the second half against the Titans yesterday. And there were situations yesterday where, after the Mims muffed punt, the Titans were in field goal range.
Yeah.
And the Broncos defense did what the 2015 Broncos defense used to do, right? They would take that opportunity for the offense and they would just take it away somehow. They would take the ball or they would kick them out of field goal range or whatever they would do to cause that other team to not be able to capitalize on those situations. And that's exactly what the Broncos defense did yesterday. So I think as long as the Broncos can stay healthy on that side of the ball, man, it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yep. You'll be in every game.
Yep, we will be in every game. So, Sean, before we get to the offense and Sean Payton, who is the bane of my existence at times, any other key points or key moments for the defense or any other shout-outs that we want to get to?
No, man. I mean, you hit it earlier. My biggest sticking 6 sacks it's just crazy to be in an NFL game and get 6 sacks. So to me, that's the big one. That's the one that's going to stick out. And for the NFL to know the pass rush that we have and to still be able to execute it and still get that many sacks after everyone knew you led the league in sacks, that's a point of emphasis for the Titans and their offense and trying to make sure that those things don't disrupt the game and then you still do them anyway it's awesome, dude. It's one of those things where, that they did it, that they worked on it and it did nothing. These guys are still getting after the quarterback. Yeah.
And I think our next opponent, the Colts, I think they scored on every possession or something like that in their last game. Let me just tell you right now, that ain't happening against the Broncos.
Danny Dimes.
He's not, yeah. I mean, he may have found some sort of resurgence there, but he's not putting 33 on the Broncos defense. I would be completely shocked by that.
Yeah, I think there's a saying about sun shining on a dog somewhere. So I think I think that's more of the Colts thing. So obviously, I know you're getting ready to transition to the offense, and we'll need to be better there. But they're not putting up 33 against this defense. They're not a chance in hell.
No, the only thing I'll say, and we will preview this game, Sean, and I'm looking forward to it. We don't play very good in Indianapolis. I don't even remember the last time we won there. Do you? Have we?
I mean, Peyton being there doesn't help any statistics for a long period of time, for sure. But
I don't remember. I genuinely can't remember the last time we won a game there. Let's look it up, Sean. Broncos, Colts, history. Let's see what we got. So the Colts versus the Broncos. Oh wait. Did we beat them in 2017? We did beat them in 2017. I don't remember this. It was a 25-13 game.
2015. That's got to be.
No, 2017.
Oh, 2017. Yeah, I mean, they haven't been good in a long time.
No, but I thought we were gonna go into like the early 2000s or the 90s to find the last time the Broncos won there.
I mean,
other than that, Sean, we're looking at so 2003.
Whew.
Yeah, so the last time the Broncos won there, other than that game, was 2005. And that was a 33-14 Broncos win. Oh no, that's Indianapolis. That's in Denver. No, the last time the Broncos won in Indianapolis was 2003. And it was a 31-17 game.
It's a long time ago.
That's crazy.
Some of us were in high school.
Yeah, so the Broncos, I mean, obviously they don't play there every year, but that's something to keep in mind. The only thing, it seems like a house of horrors, kind of like Baltimore, but we'll get into that later on. So Sean, transitioning to the other side of the ball, I understand that it's a week one, right? And I understand that Sean Payton has a bajillion packages and they're switching out guys every play pretty much. I think the commentators refer to it as line changes, right, for the Broncos. It's just personnel packages galore. But something that bothers me about Sean Payton, and that most people are afraid to say, and if he ever saw this, he'd be like, "You guys and your little podcasts," you know how he says that stuff. But I just feel like, and please tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like he has like this pressing need to show off Bo Nix and say, you know what, I made the right pick. And my quarterback is, he's the guy and all this stuff. Because when your quarterback attempts 40 passes in a game and throws for under 200 yards, and you're in the lead for most of the game, and you're not playing catch up at all, and he's not taking care of the football, what are we doing? Like, what is the explanation here?
I mean, statistically, I mean, obviously I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it's like whenever people throw that much, it's usually because one, like you alluded to, you're behind, or you just have, a greatest show on turf type of offense. And that's just, you just run it. But I mean, that was an offense that was together for a long period of time. And, that's a whole nother tangent, but no, 40 is too much, especially for game one. And especially for as much as we all love Bo Nix, a second-year quarterback. It's just you're putting him in a position to fail. And, you have young receivers outside of Cortland Sutton. Everybody over there is young, at least the main contributors in regards to the wide receivers with, Franklin and Bryant and Mims and all those guys. Those are young dudes all trying to come together in week one. It's just you're doing too much when you don't need to. That was a game that you could have easily slowed it down, could have easily ran the ball. They ran the ball well when they were getting their touches. Just give them the damn ball.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, it's Sean Payton not putting him in a position to succeed, right? It's not – I know Bo Nix made some questionable decisions yesterday, and I may have said a couple curse words during those situations. But I didn't have a problem with that first throw that was picked off. I think Cortland Sutton's got to come more towards that ball. I know he was trying. It looked like he was in position, is what I'm trying to say. When Bo Nix threw the ball, it looked like Cortland was going to catch it, and it just looked like he was a little bit out of position at the end when he went to high point the ball. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but it was. I didn't have a problem with that throw. Did you have a problem with that one? I didn't think it was like a bad decision. I just think that it needed a little bit more zip, but Cortland could have also come and got that ball a little bit better. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he spoke to it and said he kind of forced it a little bit, in both instances, but he wants to do well too. You know what I mean? And he's trying to impress, and he's trying to fit the ball in places where maybe that's just not the time or the place to do it. But to your first point, you can't throw the ball 40 times. It's so unnecessary, especially with this defense. Like every time the ball is in the air, there's an opportunity for, I don't want to be pessimistic, but there's obviously an opportunity for somebody to go bad. Sack, it's a fumble, it's a pick, whatever. Those opportunities for negative types of things are of a higher percentage than when you run the ball in most instances. So, I don't see the need. I don't know if maybe they're just trying to get some stuff in and try to work through those, assuming that this was going to be a easier game. I know NFL coaches don't think like that. At least they don't speak like they think like that. But I'm sorry to get off of the Bo thing, but
no, you're good.
It's just not it just isn't a long-term recipe for success this year, for sure.
Yeah, and this is my concern, and I never take this into account for some reason when I'm talking about Broncos predictions for the season. Sean Payton has done this throughout his career. It cost them the game against the Rams. Everyone wants to talk about that penalty that was never called, and it was egregious, right? That should have been called pass interference. That was not why they lost the game. It was his play calling. It was their inability to score when they got the ball first in overtime, regardless of the penalty. Right. And he's done this. He has a history of doing this. He tries to get too cute. He has this egomaniac thing to him that drives me absolutely insane. And I feel like it's going to hurt the Broncos more than it's going to help the Broncos. Is there anything in you that agrees with that or has any concerns about Sean Payton from that standpoint? Seeing how he's only won one Super Bowl, for how great of a coach he is, right? By all accounts. And I'm not saying he's not, but people talk about this guy like he's won 3 or 4 Super Bowls, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, and you had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you had your Marcus Colstons, and you had your
Kamaras, Thomases,
Reggie Bush. You have these gadget guys, and you have all this stuff.
Sproles.
Yeah. So, am I concerned? No. Sometimes you get that with offensive coaches, right? It's like a prove a point type thing. You get that with defensive coaches, isn't there blitz packages and things like that. I don't know what the mentality is there to just try and, I don't know, prove a point or whatever. I guess it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not concerned about it. I think that we just need to slow it down a little bit. I don't think you need every package that you want to run all season long needs to be instituted from the get-go. You know what I mean? Like, let's get RJ Harvey's legs under him for the long haul of the season. He's a rookie. He needs to touch the rock. He needs to go through those basic types of things. We get Pat Bryant involved because you're going to need him at some point in this season since you decided to trade Vele. So those types of things I think are more important than just airing it out and just trying to show off Bo Nix. It's just there will be a time and place for it, and he will throw 40 throws in a game because it's needed. I don't think it was yesterday.
For my liking, Tyler Bidet was on the field entirely too much. He looked out of place. He looked confused. He looked uncomfortable. And it was just another example of Sean Payton doing this thing, right, with rookies. He doesn't want to play them, or he doesn't want to put them as first or second on the depth chart or whatever. And it's just like, dude, at some point you have to do what's right for the team and put your players in the best position to succeed. And putting Bidet out there when he looks completely lost instead of putting Harvey out there because he's a rookie is just not an acceptable thing to do, in my opinion. But the biggest thing yesterday, Sean, I'm not the only person who had an issue with Sean Payton yesterday. I would say that Will Lutz had a big issue with Sean Payton yesterday when he decided to go for it on 4th and 8 instead of kicking a 53-yard field goal or punting the ball to pin the Titans deep in their own territory. I don't understand what the logic was there. I don't think there's anything there I can say that will defend that decision, but I'll let you take the floor on that one and see what you have to say.
Well, certainly analytics aren't going to support it.
No.
It's and sports is so much of that right now. And you're losing when you're going for it on 4th and 8. That's like the only analytical time you would ever go for it on 4th and 8. So that's like what are you trying to prove type of thing. It just, Lutz is capable of hitting that field goal, or you rely on the best part of your team, pin them inside the 10, and they're not going anywhere. You're probably going to get the ball back 3 and out anyway. So yeah, nothing about that game said go for it on 4th and 8 for any reason whatsoever.
And these are the things that concern me when people are like, oh, yeah, the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl and, Super Bowl contenders. I get it. The roster's awesome. But this coach, he comes with some concerns. And a lot of people are afraid to speak out on it because he has turned the team around so quickly. And he deserves credit for that. And I'm not saying he doesn't. But when you look at his track record, and if you paid attention to his play calling and the way that he operates, I think there's a genuine cause for concern here when we're talking about trying to reach the height of winning a Super Bowl with Sean Payton.
Well, in this division, the room for error is so small.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Chiefs are behind the 8 ball and it's week 1, right? The Chargers look a little bit more legit than people thought that they would because, I know it's an out of the country game. Those things are weird, all those types of things, but you don't have any room for error in this division. You can't lose games you're supposed to win. You can't. I don't know. Yeah. Yes. It can be concerning. You just can't have it. But I'm not panicking. I think we'll be okay. but yeah, I mean, I don't think you're out of bounds by having your concerns. Absolutely, I think you're more than right to feel that way about some of that stuff.
Well, and listen, we're not sounding the alarm on the Broncos. We are not panicking. We're not calling Bo Nix a bust or anything like that. My God, Sean, if you look at the takes on social media during a Broncos game, it would make you want to pull all of your hair out. It's just maddening. Oh, put Stidham in, put Stidham in. It's like, you don't know what you're talking. You don't know football.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know the game of football. You don't know, like, you're blaming Bo Nix for everything. The protection wasn't exactly great yesterday, right? His receivers and him were not on the same page. That's not just on him. You know, that route where he wanted Kroll to sit and Kroll in zone coverage kept going off to the side. It's like, you got to sit in the soft zone. That's what makes Travis Kelce such a good tight end. He can recognize things like that, and he can find the soft spot in the zone and just sit in it and be the safety valve. And that's what the Broncos need their tight ends to be for Bo Nix. If they're going to struggle running the football the way that they did yesterday, they're going to need things like that. The short passing game is going to have to be an extension of that running game, but the Broncos were very good at that last year. So we'll see how that turns out. I mean, are we concerned at all though with the Powers and Wattenberg situation on the line, because they got eaten alive by Jeffrey Simmons?
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is a great defensive player in his own right. So yeah, there's always going to be that guy, you know, that needs some extra attention, or, you know, he's going to eat up even the best tackles and guards in the NFL. So no, I mean, we'll have to see it, but no, I'm not concerned about that stuff yet. It's week 1. You know, if we're talking about this midway through the season and it's the same stuff over and over again, you know, we'll talk about it then. But the reality is, you hardly get any padded practices in preseason anymore. You only have 3 preseason games that you really don't. You play. What do these guys play on? One and a half. It's not the same as it used to be. You know, when we were younger, you know, the 2 days of camps and the 4 preseason games and all that kind of stuff, and the gradual cut downs, right? You weren't just cutting 40 dudes on like the last Monday. Like, you were cutting each week, and you guys were getting more playing time and stuff. It's just not the same anymore, man. So slow starts are not uncommon, even for good teams. So I'm not sounding any alarms yet.
And we've talked about this before. Last year, we talked about it on some of our pods. The Broncos, they just get off to these slow starts under Sean Payton at home. There's a lot of proof behind this claim. They've done this a lot. But in this case, it's a week 1 game. You're trying to get the offense, whatever it is that you've installed, with all the starters on the field, getting them the playing time that they didn't get in the preseason. This is going to happen for a couple weeks until probably the Bengals game, I would say, which is week 4, right? You're going to see stuff like this, and by then you would hope that the Broncos have ironed those wrinkles out when it comes to the offense. But I will say this before we end. There's no reason to panic about Bo Nix. I think that Bo Nix came out really overhyped for this game. He had something to prove. He heard people, you know, talking about how he may not be one of the top quarterbacks with Jaden and whoever. And I think he heard that noise. I think he's super motivated. I think he's trying a little too hard to prove things that he doesn't need to prove. He needs to stay within the system, make smart decisions, take care of the ball, and I think the Broncos will be fine. What the Broncos can't afford moving forward is 14 games of this with Bo Nix, with the multiple interceptions, because that second interception he threw, that's just straight up a rookie mistake. Like, I don't know what he was looking at, right? Yeah. They pretty much baited him into that throw, and he just threw it right to him. And then there was another one later in the game. I can't remember who it was. Maybe Brownlee. He had a bad game, by the way, for the Titans. But he threw one right to somebody. I think it was along the sidelines, and if he would have caught it, it would have been a touchdown for the Titans. Was it Brownlee?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. So those are the things that we're going to watch moving forward. The Broncos just need to take care of the football. they need to establish the run game. I know Sean Payton wants to pass. And I know people are going to say, well, we ran it 30 times and passed it 40 times. That's only a 10-play difference. That's a huge difference. It's a huge difference on the clock. It's a huge difference on the toll that you're taking on Bo Nix when he's not right yet. You know, when you're trying to get the passing game set up and the chemistry with a new tight end too, and all these receivers. And I still have legit concerns about this receiver room, Sean. And until they prove otherwise, you know, those are legit concerns. Yeah. Who besides Cortland Sutton is going to catch the ball on that receiving core? I know Marvin Mims is, you know, he's made some big plays for the Broncos recently, but he's got to prove that for a second year. Right. So last year he was really good. This year we got to see it again. But I think the Broncos lack playmakers on offense. They have some nice pieces, but I don't know if they have like a game breaker, like a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase type. They just don't have it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know where they're going to find it. They clearly just refuse to address it in the draft, and it gets really frustrating sometimes. But I think we just need to pump the brakes on the expectations for the Broncos. I think they're a good team. I think the roster is well put together. But this offense, it should be a cause for concern. And not to say that they can't turn it around or that the season's over or anything like that. But I think it's just something worth monitoring.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how the play calls adjust. We'll see how the execution improves as they get more time together. But yeah, it's way too early for any kind of panic buttons, especially after a win.
Yep. So we can go ahead and close this one off, Sean. We will do. Are we going to do a preview show for the Colts?
Can.
We'll figure it out. We have jobs, people. We can't just talk about the Broncos all the time as much as we would like to. But you will hear from us. We'll have a prediction posted. Tell a friend about the podcast. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. You can follow me on Instagram at Mile High Mez. You can follow Sean to his house because he still doesn't post his tag. But we are the Bronc Bros. We are happy that the Broncos won their first game, and we're happy that you guys joined us for this podcast, and we'll talk to you next week. As always, go Broncos.
See you next week.